Hello and welcome everyone. This is Peter Palmiotti of Human Art Studio, and today we have a special guest, Enrique. Welcome, sir.
Hello, Enrique. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Yeah, today was a crazy busy day, but I'm all set up, ready to
It can,
go. so, right off the bat, for those that don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
all right. My name is Enrique Lopez. I'm known around the cons as Kike. Been doing artwork almost like a steady job for the last two years. I started trying to get into comics in the '80s, and when that didn't work out, I went into advertising. And it wasn't until like 3 years ago that my youngest daughter decided to get involved in the artwork side of things, and I decided to take her to different conventions and to get a feel for what it is to work in the art, and that's where I ran into a whole bunch of former friends and new colleagues and stuff who were telling me you should try to get back in this, get doing this stuff, and ever since I did my first convention in 2018, and since then I've been doing steady little works here and there, and to the point that now I've got a Kickstarter coming out next year with a group of friends. So it's been an interesting journey these last few years.
Wow, that's that's pretty awesome. The '80s was a very different time, but if you still have a lot of those connections, that definitely helps.
Well, I mean, I did as much as I could do at that time. I started very young. I was drawing since an early age, and I figured I wanted to do this. And my parents were of the sort that they didn't really want me to do that much in artwork because they didn't feel that it could be a really good living, make a decent amount of money for that. So I did the business side, and but I kept the artwork still involved in one way or another. Like in college, I took a lot of script writing and talking, and I took worked in different plays, stage crews, etc. So I got a lot of background for this stuff. And then while doing advertising, I still kept doing illustration. A friend of mine. We did a proposal for. This was just when Jim Lee was starting to run his run on Punisher War Journal, and so we came up with the idea of doing a Punisher Batman crossover with Two Face and Kingpin, and we drew the first issue and submitted it, and it went nowhere. I created a bunch of creator-owned properties, and I took a few of them over to Dark Horse in '94. I presented it to them with 100 issues already lined out, with annuals, everything set up, and no. So
Mhm.
I mean, the funny thing is, I still have that proposal with me. I keep looking at it, going like, "Well, I might as well produce it myself in Kickstarter." So, I mean, it's gonna get done eventually. It is just one of those things that it's funny that it took me so long, but if you persist and keep the goal in mind, no matter how far in time you keep moving, you will get there. It's. I mean, one of my goals was always to be published, and I finally did that a few months ago when we published Stupendous. Got my first comic book story in there, my first short stories in there. The pinup I did in there, I drew it, and I was inked by a good friend of mine, Keith Williams. For those who know him well, he's from the Web of Spider-Man or Action Comics, so it was a great deal for me to have him do that. So, and now I'm finishing. I just finished up my story for Horrendous. Horrendous number 2 should be coming out on October 31st for Halloween. That's a 10-page saga, um, and it's called Carnivorous, and that will be making its debut soon. Everything's been set in. It's a big book. When we did Stupendous, it came out as a nice little trade paperback. It's over 100 pages and 13 different artists involved, like 7 different stories. You got pinups, great stuff in there. That's a great book. My webpage has all the stuff if you're interested in a copy. One of the things today, I've been like trying to get a store, setting up an online store because with no conventions, got all my inventory sitting there. And we're like, well, might as well try to find a way to put it out there. It's just been my daughter. I said, well, I want to see if I can have the store up before I do the show. And my daughter went, yeah, you can. Sure. And it's not, no, no, it's not, no, it's not. It's not that easy. I found out it's not that easy at all. And it's pain in the ass. I mean, trying to figure out some of the shipping stuff and how to set it up, it's not easy. So it's going to be a nice little homework there among the stuff that I have to also be doing. Because I'm waiting for a commission to come in for me to work on too. So, and I'm doing some pieces there for the artists. So it's like, it's been a nice busy time. It's funny that for a while it looked like I had nothing. I was doing nothing, and then all of a sudden now it's all picking up. I always figured that last year when I did a huge number of conventions, I did about 30, of which most of them I was next to Keith Williams, and I always did. My goal of doing that many last year was just to get myself seen, not only by fans but by other artists and other people. And I've met so many people, and those are the people who show up on my show over on Mondays on Instagram at 8 p.m. Inking with Kiki, which you're going to be on December 7th. Yep. And
that is true.
And that's how they've all joined up, and it's just great to have all these friendships. That it's funny that I go into these. I remember that I went to a con this year. The only one I did was one in Brooklyn in end of January, and just walking down the artist alley, almost everybody knew me. I knew everybody involved, everybody down the line. They all knew me. We had a great time just hanging out again, and it's just incredible that within a small amount of time I've been able to build up this, and it's been hard work. You know, I finally got to 1,000 followers on Instagram. It fell back because of the analytics of this thing. That some people get killed off. You know, all of a sudden you look like, oh, I got this many. Those. So the next day they're like gone. You go like, okay, so I'm back at 999. So maybe after this show I'll be back to 1,000. You never know. So. But it's been a wild ride and I'm starting to do different things, exploring different avenues because I'm primarily an inker, but I've always wanted to be writing, and I've really been pushing that a lot. So all these stories I've been doing, I've written them myself, and the first one I did for Stupendous. This harkens back to my early influences, and there are a lot of influences that you can see in the story. And I gave it to a lot of professionals out in the industry, and they were like blown away. They were telling me how great they liked it. It was like a really old school type of story, the way it works, the action, and the most important thing is that I could tell a story through visuals. You know, it was easy to understand what I was doing, and that's great. So I was like, okay, let's try another one. So that's when Horrendous came out and Carnivorous came out, and I'm waiting for people to give me their feedback from what I've heard already. They're like, yep, it's a step up. And that's 10 pages. The first one was only 6, so this one's 10. So I used a lot of tricks with the Photoshop as well. So using all the tools available to get that one going. And I really like the way it came out. A lot cleaner. I improved on my style that for Stupendous, it looked a little dirty because of the way I scanned it and then did some work on it that I liked. You know what? It fit the story, but now for this one, I want it to be really clean, and it looks great. I really like the way it came out. So by October 31st, we will be able to check it out, and we'll see how they think about it.
Awesome. Yeah. You know, it's it's a lot of work to set up a store. I know I had mine set up previously. I got to rearrange the inventory in there and you know, make it public again. But there, you know, like I'm using a site, Store Envy, there's Big Cartel, there's different like sites where you can just throw your work up on there. It's not too difficult. It's time consuming. more than
Yeah, I
anything.
mean, story. That's what I'm trying to do, is store and be, and it's time. It's the time consuming part, and and the thing is, I just don't want to make a mistakes. You know, I want to make sure everything's up and running before I actually put it up. I mean, like, could I put it up today and just have stupendous here? Yeah, I could have, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to come out. I got it to make it look nice. I wanted to look professional. Um, I got a bunch of stuff I could put in there and things I can't put in there because it's not. I don't want to put them right now because it's like, for example, the prints. I don't. It's a pain in the ass to ship those now, and I've had bad experiences already shipping them to clients that they get stolen, they disappear. I mean, I've sent them in huge envelope stuff, really cardboard stuff. Somehow it disappears. They just never show up in it, and and the post office is like, "Oops." I'm like, "We mean oops," you know? Oh, sorry, we don't know where it is. So I go, "Give me my money back." "Oh no, we can't do that." Like, look, it's always a good, you know. So it's like, I'm not shipping prints out. So I'll ship the books out. I'll ship out my mounted canvas because those are shipped directly from the printing house that I'll produce it. Um, the books I can send from here because those I can control. Mini prints will probably be sold because I can put them in a box similar to a book, but the posters, no, no, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. So those will be up for conventions, in the conventions,
Yeah,
or when the printing house gets back to the point that I can send individual ones again, then I'll do those again.
that's crazy. I know a lot more people have been having trouble with the post office because of COVID. You know, like more and more delays I hear of. But I haven't heard of people like walking away with what they're sending. That's
Oh,
crazy.
no, no. I mean, you can see it a lot, man. What was it? I saw somebody the other day posted on Instagram that the client, he sent the client some books, and when the client opened up the envelope, it was filled with a totally different book for taxation, and the books inside were stolen, and the it was taped up. So I mean, I'm the cynic, so I'm going like, could it have been the post office? Could it have been the client? You never know. So you got to give the benefit of
Mm,
the client. But um, usually when I haven't had that experience, but I did have this client. I sent one shipment to Vegas, and it got there messed up. I mean, they actually were able to bend the uh, the cardboard in a way it should not have happened. And obviously, despite the fact that I had put it really well in there, it increased the piece, the two pieces. So I felt bad, and I said, you know what, I'm going to send another one. I decided to send another one in a bigger version, even stronger. That one disappeared,
mm,
literally disappeared. It never showed up again. It got to the distribution center here in Jersey, and then after that, it never left. It never showed up again. So I'm like, yeah, whatever.
well, you can. What is it called? Get it sent certified, but that's extra course.
No, I mean,
You know.
it actually, when I sent it, it was priority, so it was actually insured. But because it never showed up, they couldn't prove it was damaged. Therefore, they're not going to pay me. So it's like,
Okay.
it's like, yeah, whatever. So basically, I lost money on that. I lost money on that.
Yeah.
So, so I'm not sending prints out anymore. It's just not for now. So we'll see.
Well, it is very fortunate that like you were mentioning that you did conventions last year. Um, I was planning to do a couple this year for like you said, like networking reasons. Um, I had one set up for Heroes in June, but of course that one got canceled, and I was going to do San Diego and New York. But yeah, it might be a while before we're able to
Yeah,
do
I mean,
any convention we want to.
the my this my plan this last year. I was basically just doing the East Coast up and down. I went as far as Albany and pretty much the south of Jersey. That's I kept myself here. I did some Pennsylvania, Camden, and stuff like that area, but I kept here. And then I did one trip over to Ohio just to test it out in Akron in November of last year, and that was actually a great show for me. And as to people I met and the what do you call it? The amount of fans, the good number of fans. I did a good sell. I sold a lot there. It's basically I was thinking like, what else is here? Cleveland? Well, no, it's not going to be much, you know. So one of the advantage, the thing is that advantage of going to Ohio in that case was that they are hungry for it because they don't have a convention every weekend. Here on the East Coast, it's like you get hit by a convention every weekend and then multiple conventions on the same weekend all over the place. So it's constantly looking at, I'm comparing and saying which one's better, which one's more in my area, um, travel wise. So last year I did a lot of testing. I went to lots of different conventions. That this year I said, okay, this one we're not going again. This one we're not going again. That one we got to go again. That one we got to go again. And it's mostly like I was decided, you know, this year we're gonna go big. We're gonna go try the bigger shows because I did last year a lot of little shows and a few big ones. I mean, I did last year. I did it East Coast, Garden State, and what else did we do pretty big there? Um, Eternal Con, some 2 and 3 day ones. Then and a lot of 1 day ones. Now there are a few 1 day ones that are really good. Other ones are not that good. So I was deciding which ones to do, which ones not to do. But I was going to do Heroes. You know, Heroes was on my agenda this year. I was going to do a massive push outward. So I was going to go as to the Midwest a lot. So I was going to be in Chicago. I was going to do Ohio completely, Cincinnati. I was going to do Cincinnati, Gem City, Akron. I was going to North Carolina for Heroes. I was going to South Carolina for Savannah Con. I was going to Florida SuperCon for down in Florida in Miami. I had Terrific Con in Connecticut. I was going Rhode Island, Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, everywhere. I was going to be absolutely everywhere this year, everywhere, and they were all going to be really big. And I was going to DC as well and everything. So what happened was unfortunate, but at the same time, it has opened up on opportunities for me to do my little show. It's helped me get into a groove that I've been doing a lot of work lately, getting all these stories out, and now I'm getting asked to do a Kickstarter for. It's going to be coming out in April of next year, which is called Not So Fair Tales, which is basically taking fairy tales and twisting them to our own content. And I've chosen 3 particular ones, and I got all my teams are almost well. 2 of the teams are completely ready. The third team, I might end up doing the drawing and writing myself and inking everything except the lettering. I'm gonna for that one. I've got Carlos Mangual, who is an excellent letterer from DC Comics, and he's going to letter them because I need a good letterer for that one because that's got a good dialogue. But everything else has got the full teams are up, and I would not have been able to do this had I not been involved in other projects that people have seen me. And for example, one of the persons who's doing the promoting and creation of that anthology actually also worked on Stupendous and now on Horrendous. So he saw my work and says, you know what, you want to give this one a shot? I'm going, yeah, I'm right. We're doing that one too. So I got pulled out 3. I mean, you let me do 3, maybe even a 4th one. It depends if I have time to get another one in there. That's going to be about 150 pages. It's going to be a big book. It's going to be a big book, and it's going to be a small one. It's going to be like 9x9, really interesting size. So the panel works are interesting. So it's not the traditional comic book size. So it's going to be really different. I've already seen what some people are doing, and it's really, really cool. So it's going to have to up my game a little bit for that one. So It's going to be really cool. That's going to be a nice little project, and it's got other people involved. Um, this gentleman called Russell. He is one of the guys I've seen on Kickstarter constantly, and his stuff gets always gets funded. So with him in charge, other people in charge, full. I am fully convinced we're going to have a successful project. Um, that's why I've been getting a bunch of my friends involved too. I told them, look, you should get involved in this one, get involved in this one. They're coming in, even to the point that my daughter is actually going to be in the book with me. She's doing her own story, so she's in there as well. I got her in there as well, so we got a little bit of a family thing going on in there. So I'm like, yeah. And the way I've been writing my stories, I think two of the stories may actually link up in one way or another. They're not going to be directly like part one, part two, but I'm be able to swing some of the characters between them in the sense that we can kind of feel that they will be in the same universe, even though they're two different stories in the book. And the third one will relate to maybe some of it. So, but I just figured out when I looked at the stories that I said I can actually make these two work with each other to the point that then instead of having just a maximum 10-page story for each, I can have basically a 120-page story divided in a really easy way that nobody will notice probably that are two stories, the same story. They're just slightly involved. So I'm just hoping to get it going. And Nefarious from
Yeah.
New York City, another buddy, another friend from close by. Nice to see you.
Oh yeah, Gibran. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, I should do my duties. And Nefarious. So yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're really busy and you're reconnecting and churning out stories. Um, so you got a studio. What does that mean for you? Do you plan on doing some of your own creations through
Eventually,
the
yeah,
studio? Yeah.
yeah. Eventually, something will come on. I mean, right now, when you look at back when I started in the '80s, it was like either you were part of the big two, or you had to try to go through other groups out there. There was like at one time they had Eclipse Comics, and then you had First. Um, then Valiant showed up, and then Dark Horse was doing their deal with the aliens and stuff. But you were basically stuck, unless you fit into those niches. So nowadays you don't have to. Nowadays you can do web comics. Nowadays you can do Kickstarter, Indiegogo, self-publish. I mean, all my sketchbooks I've done independently. I produce them myself. I've never not been funded by anybody. I do them, pay them. Now they're sitting there waiting for me sold. Yeah, but I can fund them myself. The story I have in Stupendous is actually a different story that I had thought about doing because originally Stupendous, I wanted to write a story that I wrote a story that was kind of very dark. It was dark because of the topic I wanted to deal with. Because I expected everybody else was going to have a happy stories, and stuff like that. And I wanted to bring in a more darker side of the superhero business. So when COVID hit, the editor and I spoke, and I told him, "Look, do you still want me to do this story?" Because at that time, we were getting close to the deadline, and I was pretty much done. I was just drawing a few things, needed to start inking and stuff. And he said, "Look, man, if you can do something a bit lighter, it'd be good." And I said, "Okay, how much?" He gave me a few weeks, and it took me a lot of time. It took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do. And when I figured it out, I still was running against the clock. And I got a friend of mine, Eric Hernandez, to join me, and he did one page, and he produced it in about 30 minutes, at least the layout form. And after he did that, we sat down, and I said, "Okay, we can work with this." And I told him, "Look, now that you did this, can you kind of guide me with this figure I'm trying to do here?" And then he came back with another page. He says, "Look, why just do one figure? Let's do it this way." And then I made some changes in some of the stuff. Now that he was using two pages, to make it all blend in with my other four. So so it was actually pretty cool because Eric and I are working on. He's created a book called Soul Eraser, and now I'm joining him on issue 4. He's got issue 2 coming out soon. I'm joining him on issue 4 to do the inking from now on. So I'm still actually starting inking those pages the other day, but I'm keeping it on the down low for now because he doesn't need them yet. But pretty soon I'm gonna have to start really doing it once he gives me a deadline. So I just been looking at them and working with a few things there. So that should be out in 2021. My first issue should be out probably by the mid to last fall of next year. Fall of next year. And then the other book I'm working on is the Mighty Atomic Thunderbolt #1. And that was supposed to come out in February, but the artist writer got hired to do some illustrations for some children's books. And we decided that that took priority because that's money in the bank. You go with that.
Yeah.
And we put the Thunderbolt on hiatus until probably going to be out instead of February, probably closer to April or May of next year. And once he has a script done, I told him I will do the breakdowns just to get some panel work done so he can have an easier time visualizing it. And then that way he can just draw it real quick and then I'll ink over it and we're done. And we can move forward with that. So I don't have a problem doing the panel, the sense of visualizing. It's putting it on the paper. That's the problem for me sometimes. So, but I can see it because I did a lot of storyboards in my past time, and that's what I did. So I can visualize stuff well. It's just getting it to the level I want. It's hard.
Yeah, it can be challenging. For me, it's like when I start thinking, laying out a comic pages and stuff, it's like there's so many options and ways to go. That's what that's what sticks with me. It's like, should I do this? Is this better? I don't know.
Sometimes it's like, for example, when I did Independence, it was like what Eric was able to do that page in 30 minutes is because I already had done my breakdowns. And I told him, you know what, I'm looking at this way and this way. So he saw my figures, and instead of doing it the way I wanted, he did it a more dramatic way. I said, perfect. And there was a moment that the character is flung back by the hero, and I made it more slapstick in my version. My version was like almost like a finger flick, and the guy's shoes were flying off. But he gave him a much more like dynamic figure coming towards us versus the other stuff. It changed a little bit the tone of that scene, but it was enough that I said, okay, you know what? I can work this into the whole story because now that this story that I did in Stupendous is a lot lighter. Is the beginning of the storyline, which will end in my original story that I wrote for Stupendous. So eventually, it all rolls into there. And when will we see that? I'm working on it. But like I said, the other priorities are happening now. And I can give a little bit of I was thinking about maybe bringing in something from Horrendous into one of my stories in the anthology that's coming up, but I don't think it'll fit in there. Right? After rethinking the idea, I don't know if it'll show up the way I want to, but I'm going to tie it in eventually. And the story I wrote that is drawn will be the end of this whole saga. And then I have a little aftermath, which will tie it all up. And I'm going to be playing off the fact that there are two different artists working. And so Eric told him, Eric, you're done messed up. Now you got to do it with me all the way through. So now you got to have to use you and some other stuff going on. So, so I'm using those ideas that having a different artist do a few pages. There's a reason for it now. It's just not, I just ran out of time. No, I'm making it reason now. So, so it's going to be interesting. So when will I get to that one? I don't know. My hope is that within the next 2 years, that story will be done. I want to put them out slowly in different, like little mini issues out there, probably produce them and have them at shows and stuff. So we'll see. I mean, it all depends on how the timing goes on and how other things happen, you know. I was supposed to be doing a backup story for another comic book company, and because of all this stuff with COVID and stuff, that got set back. I met this company at New York Comic Con, and we discussed. They gave me a script to work off. I did it, and I presented it to them. They liked it, and they said, "Okay, we'll talk to you when we're closer to producing these things." But now with this situation, well, they stopped. They're sort of held back on stuff. So I said, and that could just pop up at any moment. Say, "Oh, remember us? Okay." So I'll
Yeah.
put you on the list now. Which it's just funny when I asked my daughter the other day. I asked her to maybe help me do some shading on something I was doing at the time, and she says, "For which project?" What do you mean? You got so many things going on. You don't know which one you're talking about. I was like, that is such some. I said, that's something good to hear, isn't it? I got a lot of stuff to worry about now and stuff. So, but that was actually I wanted her to help me with some shading for horrendous, but she never got around to. It. We never got. I just finished it myself
Mhm.
because I needed to go in. I went into Photoshop and did a few nice little passes with digital stuff. And I like to do everything traditional, but once in a while I'll go in there and just add a little something and add a little something here, and I basically wanted. I went in there to clean the thing, and then I ended up adding stuff. And so we'll see.
Yeah, it's definitely like with the digital age. I'm still mostly traditional. I play around digital stuff every now and then, but it is like really super easy to go in and clean up a page. You know, get rid of all the dust and dirt and stray lines and whatever, and just make it look sharp.
Yeah, but it's really funny how we know you just mentioned that. Yet I recently saw a Kickstarter arrive, and I was shocked. I mean, I was absolutely shocked when I went through this. The pages, all the stuff that was still not fixed. I mean, nobody checked it. What happened? And there's like the inking is it's like was done very very lightly, and I think they went directly to pencil from pencil to coloring, and but you can see lines that were never inked and looked like somebody forgot to erase. I'm looking and I'm looking from who it came from. This is not me doing it. This is a pro, and I was like really surprised. So I'm thinking it was rushed out, but those things you can fix. It's like these are things I'm looking at because it bothers me when it happens to me. That I look at stuff that I can't
Yeah.
erase, even though I erased it and everything is gone on the actual original. When I look at the scan, I still see it. Oh, okay, we gotta go back in there. Let me clean it up. Okay, let's erase that. There we go. There we go. There we go. And it takes me a long time to do, but it's work. It's work. It all depends on what level you want to make it look. And I always try to look everything I hand in and everything I do is that if I were a fan, would I pay for it? And if I pay for it, will I feel gypped or will I feel happy with my investment? And that's the way I feel. I look at it that way. Like if it were me, would I accept this? And if I can't say that, if I can sell it to myself, it ain't going out. It ain't going, and that's what ran into. That's why I got Eric on a stipendous because I'm thinking these pages are not going to look as good. I need somebody to come in here to help me with this to make sure it looks right. And
Yeah.
he did. And I could tell even with horrendous, there were some panels there. I looked at them and I go like they're rushed. They were rushed because I ran up against the time crunch. Was I when I asked the editor, I said, "Do we have more time?" No. And I still had to ask him for one more. I asked him for 1 day. I said, "Dude, it's done, but I need to do more work on page 9. I need it. I need more time." Okay, you got 24 hours. Okay, perfect. And I spent almost those full 24 hours doing that one page. And I'm telling you, if you buy horrendous page number 9 of my story, you're gonna say, so this is what 24 hours looks like. Yep. That puppy, I sent it to a few friends and I said, check this out. They're like, oh yeah. I said, yeah, man. That's what 24 hours looks like. That's what they want.
Yeah,
And, and it's still, I would look at it and go like, had I had more time, and I
yeah.
would, I would have done this and I would have done that. But I'm
Every
really proud of that one. It looks great.
every artist wishes that, even if they spend too much time on it, it's like, I forgot the table in the background and finish that up, and whatever it is. um my experience is like, it's the professional artists, you know I say that in quotes, that have worked for like Marvel and DC, that tend to be the most spoiled, and don't know like the amount of work that goes into the book once they're done with the artwork. Like, they have production, they have other people working on the pages and cleaning it up and all that. Like that they themselves uh, don't necessarily have to sweat over. So when they do a Kickstarter, it's like they don't even know that it's not as polished as it could be.
And it just takes that, sitting down and looking at it and working it over. I mean, it's like, um, all my books I've done, like my sketchbooks and stuff. I had to slave over them, making sure every page was right, checking them out back and forth time to time. It's work, It's just like it's like perfectionist, but it's like, I don't know who said this once, but basically, art art is really never done. It's abandoned. You abandon it. You say, this is as far as it's going to go. You're off.
Yeah,
Go on to, because I got so many things that I've started and they're not done. They're not done because I go to it, and I start something else and I forget about it. I have a piece that I've been working. That's like almost. It's gonna be like 2 years since I started it. And the sad thing is that the artist who did it has passed away, so he's never going to see that piece being done. And now it gives me more pressure because I'm saying this is the last one. This is his final piece you gave me. So I'm like, it can't be bad. So and right now it's at a
yeah,
point, it's halfway into it, not even halfway. I would say about a third of it is being inked, and I'm so proud of how it looks. But I haven't touched it in a year because it's been a year since he passed away. So it's like, I'm like, I got to get back to it. I have it back on my desk. I have a piece that Paris Collins sent me, gave me last year in September. I did a first pass on it. I did it real quick. I did it really quick. I was horrified by it. I did not like it, and I showed it to him. He was like, okay. I said, yeah, you don't like it. I don't know. I didn't like it. He says, well, he told me, what happens is that you were trying to be too much like me. Forget my art. You just use that as your springboard. Do what you want with it. I gave it to you so you can do. He gave me the original pencils. Says I want. I get, but I didn't ink on the original pencils. I'm not that stupid. So I'm like, so it's like, you do what you want with it. Forget about me. Forget that I drew it. You go with it. And with that, he gave me so much freedom that I love the way it's coming out. But it's still, it has two characters. I've only done one. One is the Swamp Thing. The other one is the Blue Devil. And Swamp Thing is done, but I went all out. I went like totally insane with that one. It has a lot of moss on it. It has got, I drew a lot more extra vines and leaves and stuff, and it looks, I honestly one of my best work. But now the Blue Devil is such lines are so straight and so clean. I'm gonna now have to try and do a different style for this one. So I'm working it in there. So that was also on the drawing board, hoping to get done too. Because I know once I get done, that'll be a great piece to do a print probably. But that's unfortunate how I work sometimes. It's like I get start these things, then unless I have a deadline for it, then I just they kind of get stuck there in their limbo. And that's why I like the show I do on Mondays because I set myself up that I have to get these done because we're doing it live. So I have to get it done within that hour. And if I don't, I feel obligated to finish them. And that's why all the ones I've done with everybody on the show have all been done, either completed on the show or shortly thereafter. Um, Tomorrow is a special show. I'm doing a show with Rafael Tavares. He's a writer, so we're just going to be chatting about writing and stuff. But Monday I have Chris Williams, he's done a lot of Kickstarter pinups and stuff. So, and he sent me the pieces. He sent me a Catwoman, a Batman, and a Power Girl. And then I said, well, I'm looking at the Catwoman and the Power Girl. Was the Catwoman used in a Kickstarter? Yes. So that's discarded. We went with Power Girl because I figured that. That's what I figured you wanted to do the girls, but I threw Batman in there just in case. Then, well, I got to give the people what they want, you know. So Power Girl is. So we got to give that. And it looks really good. So so he's on Monday with me. So at 8 p.m. And then Thursday, this whole month is like insane with me. I got shows Mondays and Thursdays every week. I didn't plan on it, but it happened. So I mean, people are showing up and stuff, and I'm meeting great people. And October's already set up, November's already set up, and November's all female artists. And then December, I'm starting to fill in. You're the first one in December, but then again, we're going to be hitting the holidays soon, so I don't think I'm going to really fill it up completely. So we'll see. It's a fun show.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't like setting up too much in advance. But yeah, I have the same problem currently. Like, too many people want to come on, too many people want to chat privately, you know. But it's all good. It's like the more people I know in this industry, the more, you know, like, perspective I have of it. You know, it's I just work at home, you know, 7 days a week. You know, it's like I don't get out much, you know, except to do cons, but I haven't done cons seriously in a long time. So it's good to talk to a lot of as many different people as you possibly can, and it's, you know, and it's good for fans to see us doing that, to be exposed to a lot of different people. Because, you know, people in my audience may not know of you, and people in your audience may not know of me, and
right.
You know, so we, you know,
it's a mutual help. Yeah,
enlarge the industry a little bit.
I want to bring this to real here because Ferry's just asking a question. It says, do I ever do pre-recorded videos with cuts and edits and stuff, or just shows live? No, actually, I do both. All my shows on Instagram, which is on Instagram, you can see it on the screen. You can go back into my IGTV. You can see all the shows there. Now, there are shows under the Inking with Kike, which were done live. Only one we're missing is the show number 1 because a mistake, the file got corrupted and it got lost. All the other ones are there. I do choose things called inking techniques, which I show people how to do certain things. Those are pre-recorded and they're put up there. Sometimes they're done live and then I just put up there. Sometimes on my Facebook, what I will do will be a time lapse, and you can see me doing the same 1 hour or 2 hour video in a very short time. And I like the one I did. I did one video once that was like I compressed into 2 minutes about 3 hours worth of work. And in 2 minutes, you see me do this huge piece, and you can see it all there. There was one time, I think, let me see if it's here. Yeah, I think, yeah, for this, I don't know if you guys can see it there. When I did this piece, let's see, there we go. This is a really huge, I took very different videos of it while doing it, and then I edit them together so you can see how it all forms up in very short time. So yeah, you can see that they're pre-recorded or available to be seen like that. I take sometimes suggestions from people to say, do you want to show them a particular technique? Sometimes I had this artist ask me, you know, I was telling her I could tell that her brush, she was putting too much weight on it. And it was getting a little weird. It was getting too splatty. And I told her, look, next time I'm online, go back to the story, let me know, and tag me so that, look, I'm watching, and I will stop what I'm doing and actually show you. Because so I ended up doing that. In the middle of one of them videos, I stopped and showed her how to use the brush in a different sense. This way, you can do it this way. And and it helped her improve because that's what other people have done with me. They've sat down with me. Um, Mustafa Musa at Terrificon once, he sat down to show me how to do some cross hatching in one corner. Mark McKenna helped me with some line work for hair. Um, Ronnie Ramos how to do some shading for torsos and stuff. So we all help each other. Um, I always say that about 98% of the people you meet at any convention or any artist, 98% of them are really cool people and they're most down to earth, straight up will help you. There's that 2% that's always out there that, don't mess with them. But most people are really, really nice. And I deal with, and I try to be the same way. I try to be the same way. I've had kids come up to me, show me stuff, adults show me stuff, and I'll come to them and say, look, do this, do that. This is good, this is bad. This could be better. You should do this. Concentrate on that. Because if I could just help one person, one kid, one adult to get really engaged in this craft, we're all going to be better for it. And I think a lot of the things you hear today is that so many people like focused on. I did at this convention this year, the only one I did in January in Brooklyn. Keith Williams and I were doing a panel, and we were basically, what do you call it, ambushed. And that on Sunday we were planning to have a really easy time, and then they come in and tell us, "Oh no, hey, you guys have a panel at 10:30." We're like, "Really? We didn't know that." So yeah, you're going to do a panel. I go, okay, and what's the panel? They go like, how to break into comics. And I just started cracking up. And we're like, really? You're going to ask me to do that panel? Of all the people here, you're asking me. So, okay, I'll do it. So Keith was talking about, one was in the bullpen for Marvel and stuff like that. And I go like, yeah, I'm not done that. I'm not. No, not me. But I did tell him something to everybody there. I said, don't be discouraged. I say, I'm saying, because this is the point. I say, the panel is called How to Break into the industry of the comic book industry. I say, it's real easy. If all you want to do is break into the comic book industry, it's real easy. Put a table out there next to me, you're in. That's it. Nothing else to do. Yep. Put a table and you're done. You're in. You're in the club. Now, if what you mean by breaking into this is writing or drawing for the big two, DC and Marvel, that's a totally different story. That's a totally different panel, because those are maybe the 1% of everybody makes it. Even on top of that, there are so many artists out there. You can look at Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, anything you want to look at. There are artists right now out there that are not working for the big two that will kick anybody who's working their ass in art by far, 100 times better than anybody working for them now. But either they're not discovered or they don't care. They're happy doing what they want to do. They're happy in their universe. They're happy doing whatever they want. So whatever you want to do to measure your success is what you have to determine. Because if you're going to measure yourself by, well, I'm a writer at this age. If I am not working for these guys, then I'm nothing. But like, why? Right now, some of the best writing is not at the big two. It's at the independents. It's at the Kickstarters. So if you're saying that to be considered a great writer, you got to be for the big two, I would tell you not. No, I find a lot better writing out there at SourcePoint, at Instagram, through Indiegogo stuff. I'm sorry, there's a lot better stuff out there. There are a few good writing. Yep, there are good writers, but it's like everything else. You got a machine working, and you need to have stuff going on all the time. So don't be limited. I tell people, don't be limited by just the big two, because it's like my daughter. Oh, she wants to study animation. Oh, great. Yeah, I want to work for Pixar. Really? I mean, very few people make it there. Do I think you can make it? Absolutely. But why? Think about, well, if you tell me I want to be in animation because I want to make my own movies, well, I would think that's a better deal. So don't be limited. That's what I say. So when people say how you break in, just put a table up there and be surprised. You will be surprised. how much you can get done just by doing that. Well, I'm living proof of that. I just put a table down one day, and all of a sudden, look where I am. And I'm still, would I think about, would I like to work for one of the big two sometime? Would they say, hey, you want to take over this little book here at DC? I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't say no if it's something I want to work on. If they give me something I don't know about or something like that, yeah, sure. If I find it interesting, but I won't be like immediately saying no. I don't want to talk to you guys. Yeah, I'll listen to anything, but it's like everything else. It's got to engage me. I've got to be able to say yes. This is something I feel like it'll be worth doing. If it's just to have my name on a book and just say, look, I did that. I'm not that way. I want it to be something I really can look back on and say, yeah, I did that, and it's no matter where it came out. So that's what I say to
Yeah.
everybody out there. Don't
No,
be
definitely.
discouraged.
It's funny because nowadays more and more name creators are doing Kickstarters and Indiegogos. So like working from home DC aren't the end all be all. So if you're a new creator, work on your own book, regardless of what other goals you have. Work on something that's yours, and you could say, this is me, this is mine.
Let's put it this way. My goal has always been my goal. I started. Would I love to be in the big, do something for the big two? Yeah, okay. But my goal recently, which I have achieved now, was first goal was to get published. All right, we got that. Perfect. Now the next goal was, all right, how do I get into these anthologies that I'm seeing out there? Why is it that I know I could be doing them? Why am I not in there? So I have to create connections. Then all of a sudden I go into one, it ran into a second, and now I'm in a third one in a Kickstarter. So now I moved up. I'm like, yes. Now once you're in that click, now it makes it a little easier for me now to probably other people are going to say, wait a minute, I saw this guy work here and this one, he was really cool. I like what he did. Hey, could you like to do our anthology? And I would love to. See, I could be happy doing that, and just doing anthologies all the time. There's quick stories and stuff like that. Let me see what it says here. I gotta take my glasses off. What's a good convention to attend to break in? Is there one you recommend getting a table out to attract the following, particularly in the indie event you recommend? All right. See, first of all, you gotta. I don't. Okay, you're in New York. Assuming NYC means you're in New York. All right, so I'm assuming that for the moment. So let's assume that you're not gonna get in to the big one like in New York Comic Con. You won't get it unless you get a table and you do like in the small press area, and you're gonna get swamped in there. So there are a lot of small shows everywhere. First show, if you've never done a show ever in your life, ever, once all this stuff is done and we're back to anything similar of what we were before, first thing I would recommend, hit a library one. Go to a tri-state, perfect. So hit a library. Why? Because first of all, they cost almost next to nothing. Sometimes they're free. I've done a bunch of them in the library. Some of them, most of them, I'm only paid for one, I think. No, actually, yeah, I paid for one. It was a donation, basically, so you can take it off your taxes. So you go to those yeah, hey. So you go to the table and you get a table there, and those you got to think of more as like trying to meet people and see what's done because it's low cost, low risk. In other words, you sell something good, you sell nothing. It will be good in the sense that you'll see other artists, you can figure out what they do, how they set up, how they prepare, what they're selling and stuff. Now, libraries are mostly geared to kids. So you got to be thinking if you're more into doing more hardcore, hentai, really adult stuff, no, libraries are not going to work for you. If you're doing standard superhero stuff, stickers and things like that, yes, that'll be perfect. Once you graduate from there, then you start looking at one-day shows. There are one-day shows all over the place. And You got to be careful because some one-day shows are like flea markets. You don't want to go to those because those they will not. You will waste your time. You got to find shows like, for example, there is these guys who do shows that are comic book expos, but basically they bring what company bookstores do these expos every few weeks, and I know in Clifton and other areas here in Jersey. And what they do is that they have all these comic book retailers here, but they give artists a table or two, and usually not. They don't charge you. It's usually a complimentary table, and you can go there, and you get people who looking to buy comics. Now, my best sales of original art are always at those shows because the people who go to those shows are collectors. They're not there to see the latest movie. They're not there to see the latest cosplayer. They're not there to talk about the Funkos. They're not there to talk about the latest TV show. No, they're there to buy comics and therefore can appreciate good work. So it's all depending on what you want to do. So if you want to start getting people to see you, those are great ways to start. Could you go to a show like Garden State at East Coast? Absolutely. But if you're not well oiled into how to work it, it can eat you up. You will spend $300 and come away with a loss. And if you're not ready, if you don't know what you're going to do, you're not set up right. And trust me, it took me a while to figure it out. Even today, I still say, once the shows come back up, I got to reassess how I'm going to do it. And I'm constantly changing things. Every week I would do something different just to test something new. Well, people see it this way. Well, people this way. Will this attract more attention? But at the end of the day, your art will speak volumes. If you got good art, fine. Even if you don't have great art, if it's something somebody will like, it doesn't matter. Art is subjective. Something that I might not like it, but somebody else will come by and say it's beautiful. I've had people tell me that some work I've done, it's like, I don't like it that much. Well, it's like, and other people are saying, what are you talking about? This is absolutely fantastic. It's just the way people perceive art. Art is very emotional. So subliminally, something I did reminded of this individual in the subconscious of a negative feeling. And therefore, his negative feeling was projected onto that work. That's why I used to be struggling to understand why am I not selling and so next to me or so down this way are selling and their artwork is less than mine in my mind. And it was basically their people were attracted more to their stuff. And it's nothing wrong. It's nothing negative. It's just the way it is. The artist who I did this for, he wasn't thrilled with how I did the inking. He said it's not bad. He says it's not bad at all. It's really good, but you use brush, and I don't like people using brush on my inks, on my pencils. I like people use pen, and you didn't understand some of the stuff I left blank in there to got to be filled in. And I'm like, well, that part takes knowing you to understand. And second, brush technique is, I use brush because that's the thing I figured will work best for this. And I was like, it's okay. Now, in his way of saying it, he said, see, he went to me and said, look, I see your brushing technique, and I see a lot of, I can see that it's basically like Neil Adams would do and all that stuff. And I'm like, so he's complimenting me on what, because Neil Adams is an influence of mine. So I'm like, so I told him, you know what? It's not a problem, man, because sometimes it's not the right fit. And it's no problem with that. You don't mesh. You don't like it. It's not that I'm bad. It's that it's not the style you want. And he went to me, he goes like, dude, I wish more people had that attitude. Well, there was only one or two ways to take it, good or bad. I prefer to take it the good way, looking at it from the point of view, it didn't work. Now, a year ago, before that incident, I did the same thing for somebody else, and when he told me, no, I didn't look the way, I got really angry. I said, what the hell, man? This is great work. And I learned right there, look, it doesn't matter. It didn't sing to him. And then other times I do stuff that I'm thinking like, well, it's okay. And the artist is like, my God, it's the best thing you ever done. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Okay. And so it's really subjective. So the best thing I can say to you, Enriques, is just put yourself out there, man. Get on Instagram, get people to see you, and that's how you create it, man. I'm telling you, I had very few followers when I started this journey, and now I'm already at 1,000. Most of them, a lot of them started showing up after I started the shows, and I started doing those shows because I had nothing to do, because I was sitting here and I started doing them live, just inking and putting it live, and I started seeing people showing up. I'm like, why are you people here? I'm just drawing live, and they're like, oh man, we like to watch. I'm like, really? So I decided, okay, let me start doing it with somebody else and bring
Yeah.
other people, and that's where it started coming out. And now you see a whole bunch of these shows showing up, and it's great because that way people can see what we can normally see at a convention. So I mean, it's a lot of good stuff, you know. I mean, I could talk to you about for another 2 hours, but so it's already been an hour. I gotta go get my daughter real soon. But
Yeah.
but it's like I said, this is one of those conversations that I can just go on and on about how my different experiences were, and because I used to not even tell people which are the bad conventions. And one artist came up to me once, and I told him, "Nah, this once I did this show once. It was like, oh, terrible. Oh, I don't want." She goes, "Can you tell me what shit it is?" No, 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 I can't tell you. I don't think it would be appropriate. She goes like, "Well, I would like to know so I don't go to it." And I was like, "Well, when you put it that way." So, so I've been telling people certain experiences when I'm overall. Look, I did 30 shows last year. About 6 or 7 were not good at all. They were like, no, no, not happening again.
That's a
Some of them were on my own devices. I didn't notice the dates they were on, um, and certain that they were more concentrated towards cosplaying versus other things, the comics. You know, I take some of that as to my fault. I didn't do my due diligence. I didn't
right.
check better, do things better. So this year I made sure, all right, all these holidays were in red on my calendar with nothing on those days. And I was avoiding all the major holidays, Labor Days, like 4th of July, all that kind of stuff. Everything was being avoided this time. I said, nope, not again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 30 shows in 1 year, that's a lot. And if you're avoiding holidays, that's pretty much the whole year, right? that you're going every weekend, I guess. Um, so I want to make sure that people get your links. I put them below in the video description.
Okay.
If there's any you want to
There's a
add
little,
on
there's a little
top
sign that
of what I
usually,
already paid,
there's
yeah,
a little, there you go. People can find it real quick. I want
Instagram,
to answer this.
Facebook.
I want to answer the Fari's question before I go.
Okay.
And let me put my book up again. You can find this on my webpage, on the on elopezgil.myportfolio.com. I'm going to set up a store. People will be eventually up. Do you not mesh professionally? Well, I haven't had enough experience with different people to get to the point that we don't like each other yet. But give me time. People will get there. But I've had moments that I've had problems with and ever get heated with one personally. Yeah, I did. It got heated because this individual thought that my coming in, because I have an MBA in marketing, so I understand the concept of selling. So I was he came in with an idea for a group to do something. And then while there, he says, what people think. And then I started putting out these ideas, and everybody started loving it. And then he felt threatened. And then he started really coming down when he called me with some stuff the next day. I was like, dude, what the hell's the problem with you? You know, and I was thinking, I'm not trying to steal anybody's thunder, man. I thought you asked me as a professional to be here and to work as a team. And if that's the idea, If it's going to be what you want, then no, I don't want to be here. So that will be basically, that was about a year or so ago. And I run into him all the time. All the time. We run into, because this is a very small group. So we run into each other all the time, and I see him all the time. We're like, hey, how you doing? Everything's fine and stuff. My daughter can't stand him. It's like she avoids him. But we're all in the same circles. We're all in the same circle. So I try not to have that kind of stuff. So and we're still friends with each other, and we still conversations and stuff. But have I ever had up to now? I've never had a piece that I've done that somebody will say like, "Oh, you ruined it." No, never had that. Yet it could happen, But at the same time, it's unavoidable. I tell my daughter who wants to work in this is that she doesn't like when I ink her stuff, because she says, in her words, quoting, "My art disappears when you ink." That is something I told her, you got to learn. Unless you do your own work, like you pencil, ink, color yourself, somebody else is going to come after you and do it. Like if you're just doing the pencils, I guarantee you somebody else is going to ink it. And therefore you got, he's in that 2%. He's actually not no, actually he's a nice guy. He's actually a nice guy. The thing is that there's just one of those things that he gives off a vibe that she doesn't like. Or maybe it's just that she's my daughter and she says, can't mess with my daddy. So who knows? But I lost my train of thought. I was I saying a moment ago? Now I lost it now. But so yeah, so it's just this industry, we all know each other. So it's really not a good idea to get into any deals with anybody and mess up with anybody. And so I never talk ill of anybody. Now that's my daughter. I gotta go get her. And and I try to be that way. If there's somebody I don't particularly like, well, I'll avoid them, and just hang out some other places. I mean, we're talking about when conventions are going on, you are stuck next to people for hours and hours and hours. You really don't want to be next to somebody you're having issues with. So, like I said, that 2% I'm talking about are people that are just too full of themselves. Too full of themselves. Some of them are worthy of it, and that they are who they are. But you can go to talk like rest in peace. This gentleman I'm going to mention now, Joe Sena. You would never have met a person of his caliber as down to earth as he was. Absolutely a gentleman. Every time I spoke with him, great smile, always great with people. And if he could be anybody, he could act any way he wanted because he was the guy. He's Joe Sena. No. Yet you see some people who even have a quarter of his talent acting up like they're God's gift. Okay, whatever, man. Whatever, man. So be good to yourself, be good to everybody else, and you'll earn a lot of respect from everybody, and you will get out there. So okay, that's another text. I'm sorry. I would love to keep talking, guys. I really would, but this is I don't like to leave her out there. Go pick her up. So, well, anyway, thanks for the nefarious. Those questions are great. Please do me a favor. Follow me on Instagram. Check out my stuff over there and my different videos. Maybe you'll be my 1,000 again if you join tonight. So I'm looking to get back to 1,000 followers over there. And like I said, hopefully we'll be back in conventions soon. There was one in Concord, Massachusetts New Hampshire that Keith went to, and they were really like everybody was well separated and stuff. But not a lot of people showed up. A lot of hardcore people showed up for the first 3 hours, and after that, nobody. But they were safe. Everybody had their masks on. There were a lot of cleaning stations. Everything was well separated. I don't think we're going to see until something major of a vaccine or something comes up, we won't see New York Comic Con like it was before. We're not going to see that again.
Yeah.
Or I
No.
mean, shoulder to shoulder, like walking like this with it. No, no. That's always like a rite of passage. You haven't had if you've not gone to Comic Con in San Diego and gone through
Yeah.
that little rocking, that little straddle walk, you haven't gone to a convention. You had to go through that before.
It's true.
You know? So, all right, well, Peter, sorry it's so quick. It was
Yep.
really good. I appreciate you having me
All right.
on. Hopefully, it was fun for
Yeah.
everybody.
Thank you so much for coming on and speaking your mind. And man, you're busy, and that's awesome. And I look forward to talking to you again. And I will definitely be on your show next month. So it'll be
Yep,
awesome.
it was great. All right, thanks a lot, people, for showing
Yeah.
up. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
Cool. So I was going to do just a little couple of things, notes. One, the very last episode on this channel, which was Pimp Your Comic. As far as I'm concerned, that was a huge success. I will be doing that again. I will be doing that monthly. I went in today and made sure there's at least links to everybody's stuff that were in the episode. I also added a couple of links to my link tree, which if you go below the video into the video description box towards the bottom, I believe is my link tree link, and you click on that, you go to Linktree, and there's different links. I have one for Doom Patrol, and I have one for Only Death Will Save Us. Links to those Indiegogos. If you don't already know about them, please go check them out and pledge to them if that's your thing. If not, share will definitely help the creators of those. If anybody's in the chat that hasn't been on my channel, Fogbreaker Studios, and you want to come in for a minute, I don't know if you're busy or whatever, but you're welcome to. But yeah, I wanted to mention those two things. I am putting together a list for the next Pimp Your Comic episode, and I figure I'll do that monthly. I might do within the range of the first week in a month, there will be another episode of that. And so anybody who wants to, get added to that can do so. I don't have an official list, but I do have like at least a dozen people that want to come on. Get in there, Fog. He doesn't bite. Nefarious knows. Yeah, he might have. I'm not sure if he's here at the moment. Are you? But yeah, this was a good episode. Yeah, if oh, okay, where's the link? Oh, up on. Okay, awesome. Let's see. I'll throw it to your Instagram if that will work. Or no, hell, I'll just do it the easy way. Okay. I'll throw it into the chat. Because if I start opening things up, then all hell breaks loose. So click on that link and join. What am I getting? Messages? Okay. No sweat. So yeah, I'll ink a little more. Enrique Lopez, man, he's awesome. I didn't know I had some advertising background. That definitely helps in any art career. Um, Goodness knows I could use some additional support in that department, but it's all going well lately. I want to jam out some stuff this week and work on retro. Tomorrow I have Ryan Wynn. He's done a book for Alterna. He's got a new campaign coming up for a new book. Um, Thoralina, some female Thor type character. He's into those gods. So be fun to chat with him with what he's got going on. Um, dun, dun, dun. Come on, Vibreaker, get in here. Step on up. What's that? Come on down to the Price is Right. Bob Barker says, "Spay and neuter your children. I mean your pets." Do-do-do-do. 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 Can it be?
Hey, I made it.
I believe it is.
That was a close one.
Welcome, welcome.
How's it going, man? What's up?
Good. Making retro, chatting with the people hang out, and
That's what's up,
I know
man.
you. What's that?
I'm all discombobulated. This was all impromptu. Like,
That's what I like doing here. Impromptu. Well, you haven't been on my channel. I do want to
no,
get you on for an official episode,
yeah, man.
but I figured we can do a little bonus at the end of the episode
Yeah,
and
man.
say
That's what's up.
hello and
Well, hello. How's it going?
good.
Pretty awesome
You
show. I
know,
enjoyed it.
Excellent.
So yeah, just getting some stuff wound down, getting unpacked. Still a little bit. We moved a couple of weeks ago, so still fighting that. But no, I was listening to it
Oh,
while I was going, so I figured, yeah, man, I'd love to jump on.
I didn't know you moved. That's why the logo isn't behind you.
Yeah, that's it. Like I'm still half put together, so I'm trying to figure out exactly how I'm gonna do it on my new wall. So we'll get it there
Cool.
slowly but surely. So yeah, man. I am pretty pumped. It's been a busy end to this year, so in a good way. Between moving, I got a couple cool projects getting ready to happen. So writing, still doing some drawing, trying to see what kind of noise I can make before 2021 comes.
Cool. Yeah, I'm on the fence, and it's coming. The deadline is come and gone, I guess. Because I was gonna do a story for 9 Volt,
Yeah,
and I'm like tied. My hands are tied with other things I gotta get done, and I
yeah,
still want to do it, and I'm still like every other hour I'm like, I should just do it. I should just do it. Whether they it makes the book or I don't know. It's
right.
like I don't know. We'll see if it
Well,
pans out. We'll see. I'm
yeah.
not going to sweat it.
All
You
right,
know.
yeah, we'll see what happens. I think you should. I think you should make a run at it. Why not?
Yeah.
You
Well, I
probably draw
mean,
way faster than I do. It's like I wouldn't have a chance to if I wanted to do it. I couldn't make it at this point. But so you
um,
know,
is it the 10th or the 15th? I saw somebody post the 15th is maybe a looser deadline.
I've seen the 15th. I'm not 100%.
Yeah.
I just got back in the
Yeah.
Discord.
Oh, okay.
But
So
everybody's
yeah.
hopping, like everybody's busy with the 9 volts. Pretty awesome to see what that's become. But
Yeah. Well,
you know,
I'll give it a shot. If it, if they don't want it, if it sucks,
well, it ain't gonna stop.
I still want to do the story.
Yeah.
Like have a better chance at it. Maybe if I don't make the book or something.
Right. Well,
So
you know what?
yeah,
If you make a run at it now and you try, look at me.
yeah,
If you make a run at it and you try, like you'll have such good bones going forward. You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
yeah,
I draw my best and I like create my best. Like if I could just kind of set a deadline for myself, even if I don't make it, I realize like, whoa, I got 3 pages done in like 10 days, like which is fantastic. So
it's true. I like do better work when I'm not thinking about it.
yeah, that's pretty much it. I always talk about when I learned how to roller skate, and it was as soon as I thought about knowing how to roller skate, that's when I would fall. You know what I mean? But if I was just doing it, it was easy, and I'm like, oh man, maybe I can dance to this Milli Vanilli song while I'm wearing roller skates. It just tells you how old I am. But you know. But yeah, I'm excited about making comics. But yeah, man, like anytime there's an opportunity to make a comic, I say do it because it's a pretty awesome little field we get to play in, you know.
Yeah. Oh man, I just heard some cats meowing outside, and I think
Are they yours?
my cats are under siege, so I might have
Oh
to.
no! All right, man. Well, hey, yeah, let's plan. I'd love to come on, man. Just let me know. I don't know
Yeah.
why I wasn't subscribed to your channel, but I just subscribed, so I'll be in the comment section if nothing else. And when you're ready to have me on, man, I'd love to come on.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll touch base soon, and we'll work it out.
Sounds
Definitely
good,
would
man.
love to have you come on. And yeah, tell people where you are before we go.
All right, I'm
Like
on Instagram primarily,
yeah.
Fallbreaker Studios. I'm in the AAA Discord, and I am on Facebook, in and out under Jason Alexander, and also under Fallbreaker Studios. So if y'all want to find me, find me. I do tell some pretty cool stories, so you might enjoy it. So check me out.
Check him out. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching.
All right. Take care.
Give
Y'all be
a
good.
like, subscribe.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Peter, on short notice. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, man. My pleasure. We'll do a good long one next time.
Sounds
All
good,
right,
man.
check
Hey,
you out.
take care.
All right, you too.